Good morning. We are going to start this morning with some legs up the wall and some hip and shoulder movement in a really relaxed state. And then we're going to wind ourselves up in towards standing with the idea of just helping to connect and ground. And we'll add a little bit of leg strengthening as well. So what I recommend having on hand is a strap. And if you've got a block, have one of those handy as well as a chair. All right, let's get going. All right, here we go. So in legs up the wall, you decide how close to the wall that you want to come. A big piece of this is you want your pelvis to be neutral. Okay, so here's your pelvis. You want this to be neutral. So you don't want your hips to be coming up off the floor. You don't want space there. Right? So you just want to have your pelvis easy. And so you don't have to be straight up against the wall, right? But if you're comfortable, you can be. And then here, I just want you to breathe. Okay? Easy, easy, easy breath. If you need something underneath your head, place a blanket or a pillow underneath your head or a block. And just breathe. Place your hands on your belly, on your chest. And just breathe. Let's take a few there. And I want you to imagine that your legs are like telephone poles. And your pelvis is like mud. And the wooden telephone poles are sinking into the mud. The wooden telephone poles are sinking into the mud. And you don't need to push your legs down with your mind or do anything with your pelvis. You just need to imagine, your legs are like wooden telephone poles. And your pelvis is like mud. And then you're going to lift off your right leg, keeping your pelvis quiet, but without being hard, and cross just the ankles. And have your pelvis, your hands on your pelvis, and just notice that your pelvis stays still as you bring your ankle down towards your hip. Now you might cross your knee. You might not. If you're here, you're just going to stay here. And you're just going to roll that leg into external rotation. And if you are able to cross the leg, then you can do that too. Wherever you land. Where my hands are, I've placed them at the front of the hips. So I don't want, on the way out, I don't want the front of the hips to be engaging. That's a job for the bum, the rotators of your hip. And just be aware of your breathing. Nice. And leg comes up. Yeah. And cross. And slide. Wherever you slide to. Yeah. And just sitting and settling in with this body of yours. And with your breath. And with your mind. This moment really is all about you. Keeping these front of the hips quiet. It will really, if you can, if you tend to engage your hip flexors as you rotate out, as you get the neuromechanics, so that it's the rotators that do it, which is what their job is, you'll notice that the front of your hips become less tight feeling. Okay. And then take that leg up. All right, now you're going to take your hands and either your thumb tips are going to touch or you can hold a strap. Oops. Okay. And just raise your arms to the sky and then down. So your shoulders are going to lift off the floor. Keep your neck and your jaw really easy. Legs are still like wooden telephone poles. Breath is simple. Okay? Okay, now your arms are going to slowly come over your head. Now the movement here is your arm bones in the shoulder socket. You'll notice that my ribs here, my ribs, they aren't lifting up. So only move as far as you don't move into a back bend, right? Because if you're back bending, that lets us know that your shoulders aren't moving as purely or as well as they could. And now this motion, rather than being a shoulder motion, is becoming a back motion. And we don't want that. So only your movement's only here. That's okay. And do it as a click and a clunk free range of motion. All right, lovely. Okay, now take a look at your right hand and put your index finger and thumb tip together on the right hand and then do the same thing on the left. And then put your arms into a position as if you're like hugging a tree or doing a big hug. And the elbow is bent here. Now as you move, that elbow bend is not going to change. The movement is just at your shoulder joint. So the articulating joint is your shoulder. Okay, and now we're going to rotate that arm bone in the socket. Right, so now the arm bone is moving in the socket. It's rotating. So it looks like the elbow is moving towards the leg. And it really is, I mean it is, but it's the arm bone moving in the shoulder socket. So just notice what you've got. Be easy on your neck. Now hold that position there. Stop there. And wherever you stop, so maybe you stop here, maybe you stop here, maybe you stop here, wherever you stop, then take the arms wide. So same kind of position. We just changed the head of the arm bone or the head of the humerus. And again, easy, easy, easy breathing. Okay. Now rest your hands back into your belly and just take a breath. And then bend your knees. And if you're closer to the wall, then scoot yourself back so you're closer to about 90 degrees. It doesn't have to be exactly 90 degrees, but just about 90 degrees. Okay? And just easy, easy breath again, feeling those legs down into your pelvis. And feeling your feet on the wall. And we're going to take the legs just a little bit wide. And just a gentle rotation, like a small rotation. So it may look like I just turned my feet out, but what I've done is I've actually rotated my leg bones. Okay? So we're just going to rest here, letting those legs sit. If this is too uncomfortable, then of course come back to here. And if that's too uncomfortable, then just go back to legs up the wall. Okay? Just easy again. Keep the feet, feeling the feet, the ball of the foot, the base of the pinky toe, and the center of the heel. Feel that. So your legs might want to fall outward like this, and the feet come off the wall. And I want you just to keep the feet on the wall. I let that be an anchor point. And let those legs settle into your hips. Okay? And breathe, if you can, into your pelvic floor. Easy, easy, easy breath. Now from here, we're going to go into a little bit of a twist. And you're going to keep your feet on the wall. So you're going to slide your feet along the wall, more or less. And then you're going to come into a twist. Okay? So you might not get all the way to the floor. But the idea is like all the twisting that I teach when you're on your back, is the shoulder girdle is going to stay the same. And then if you come all the way down, try and bring those knees right together. But you might not be there. Because your knees coming together is a function of your pelvis, right? So as I come down here, just to show you, as I come down, at some point my foot's going to come off the wall. And then my pelvis needs to keep moving into that twist. And that's a little bit sticky this morning. So my knees are not completely touching. So I want you to pay attention to your pelvis as you do this movement. And your shoulder girdle. Now if you want to add some breathing into this, that would be a really good idea. And if you need some help with that, then I want you to think about breathing on the way up, in, and then on the way down, out. And one more. Okay. And just bring those legs up again. And just, again, easy, easy. Notice if there's any distinction with your legs and coming into your pelvis. And how your belly feels. How your ribs feel. How the breath in your body feels. A lot of people sometimes will tell me that when they finish a yoga practice, they might feel really sore, but they didn't feel any soreness while they were in their practice or any strain. And so what I say to them is, and I say this kindly and gently, of course, but what I say to them is, it's just because you didn't notice it. There's these yellow lights our body lets us know about as we're practicing. And they let us know if something's too much. And so sometimes we need to take a pause and just notice and feel what's going on and the impact of any movement on our structure and on our body. So it makes the practice a little bit slower, which some people don't like. But as you gain this awareness and the neuromuscular connection, then adding strength becomes really easy. So while it feels slower at first, it's actually a much faster way of progressing. So just food for thought. All right, so we're going to come into a lunge. Now, a really basic lunge initially, but then we're going to add the wall, and we're going to add a little strength into this. So I'm going to show you this one. This one might just be plenty for you today. Okay, and then we're going to come forward. So watch my knee, and watch my hip, and watch my other knee. And you see how my upper body is mostly staying the same? So for this lunge, we're just going to keep all of this relatively neutral. And I use air quotes for neutral, because obviously your pelvis, as you move past the sort of 3 or 11 degrees motion of this right hip that I'm using, which is on this side, as I move past that, my pelvis will go into an anterior tilt. So it's not neutral per se, but I'm keeping my upper body basically the same. I'm not collapsing into a lunge. I'm not doing that this morning. I'm just playing around with this movement between my hip and my knee and my ankles. And if you need to place something underneath your knee because the pressure against the floor is a bit too much, then go ahead. That all works. Okay, and then let's go the other side. And same thing. And notice your breathing. Like noticing your breath. And you don't necessarily need to time your breath with your movement. You can, but you don't have to. But what would be great is if you just breathed and you were aware of your breathing, that you were moving at a pace that honored how you were breathing right now. And that might be difficult to do because then you have to feel, which is sort of what I was talking about a moment ago. And that might be difficult to do right now, right? To actually feel what's actually happening in your system. But see if you can. Yeah? Okay. So now we're going to add a little bit of strength. Now, just because we're adding a little strength doesn't mean you stop feeling. So, take that foot forward, and now you're going to place this back foot on the wall. Now, this morning, this heel of mine is not touching the wall. So, yours might. You might have a little more suppleness in through the back line of your leg. It also might be later in the day for you, right? So, it's 5:15 a.m. for me. Okay, so I'm going to just press the part of my foot that I can feel. So the ball of the foot and the base of the pinky toe. Yeah? And we're going to do the same thing. But now I'm going to be pushing my foot into the wall. Now we're not pushing like I'm trying to knock the wall down or that I'm some kind of elephant. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just putting a little bit of pressure and I can feel the distinction in my leg. Like there's a little bit more warmth going on here, yeah? And I want to maintain the pressure back as I come forward. Yeah, maintain the pressure back. But you've got to watch your chest and your jaw and your eyes. Is there any tension building up here? Even your back or your pelvic floor, right? There ought not to be any tension building up. There's some strength in your leg, yeah. There's nothing like gripping and bracing. We don't want to do that. We don't want to think we're building strength, but in fact we're building bracing. That's no fun, right? That's not sustainable. Okay, and then let's come to the other side. All right, and then feel the ball of the foot and the base of the pinky toe. Easy, easy, easy breathing. It's so crazy, you know, how breathing really can make us stronger. It's a little bit nutty, actually. It's one of those things I like to call wackadoodle. Like, even though I know it, and I've known it for a long time, I'm still always, like, crazily amazed of when I move better, of when I breathe better, of when I'm more aware, how much easier it all is, particularly these days, right? Like and I think what's kind of funny is what's really being ripped open and made aware for everybody is how uncertain life is. And it was never not any less uncertain than it is today. Do you know what I mean? But it's just been rawly, like, torn wide open for everybody. Okay, you ready to go? Okay, let that go. And then just be standing on your knees for a sec here. I'm going to face you. Okay, hands are going to be here. And then we're going to lean to the side. Now, if you'd rather be here, do that. Let's just get a little side bend here. And you'll notice that my pelvis is staying still. I'm not twisting. At least I hope I'm not. Looking at the camera, I can see that I'm just going straight to the side. Okay, so now from here, we're going to come up into a wall sit. Now this is where I'm going to bring a strap and have a block handy. You don't absolutely need those props, but you might want to play with them, okay? So we're going to be in a wall sit, and I'm just going to leave the strap down for now. And when you're in a wall sit, you don't need to be all the way down here. That's not, I want you to be in a place that if we were here together for 30 minutes, then you could be here and you could have a cup of tea and we could have a chat. Like it's that sort of, we're not going to be here for 30 minutes, by the way, but I want you to be in a place that you can sustainably hold without increasing your level of bracing and gripping. okay? And from here, I want you to feel your feet, right? So the center of the heel, the ball of your foot, base of pinky toe. Now, typically, we would have the head against the wall, but for some of you, you might find that you're a little bit, you might be feeling a bit limited through here, and so then your head might be off the wall. That's all okay. That's all. It's all good. As you start to get better movement, that will start to shift. Okay, now with the arms here. Here in Canada, we tend to get some snow. And so we do these things called snow angels, right? We lie on our back, we look up at the sky, and we start to move our arms in the snow, and we make snow angels. Now we're going to make mini little wall angels here, and you can bend, you can just, move through. We're going to make it this way. We're going to move and articulate through this joint of the shoulder. Your hands are going to stay on the wall. Okay, lovely. And then bring the hands back in. Just notice your belly, notice your breathing. And then grab your strap. You can come out of the wall sit if you need to. And then we're going to take the strap. If you don't have a strap or you're not using one, I'm going to show you this with your hands. This is why you don't absolutely need the strap. Okay, so we're here. Now you could just put your hands on the outside of your legs, and what's going to happen is that you're here in this hip flexion wall sit, and you're going to press your legs wide into the strap or wide into your hands. Okay, now as you do that, so the legs are going out this way. As you do that, this front of the hip is quiet, right? So the hip flexors brought you, or like you're in a hip flexion exercise, like as in a wall sit, you've increased your hip flexion. That was an interesting way of me explaining that. So coming into wall sit, you had to move into hip flexion. Now that you're here, as you move your legs wide, this isn't, the action is more on the horizontal plane, not the vertical plane. So these front of the hips, they don't have to fire to do this part of the movement. So just watch that your hips aren't getting more thicker, okay, as the legs go wide. Be aware of your feet, those 3 points. Okay, and now we're going to let this go. And if you have a block, you can do this with the block. You can place a block between your legs, right in the meat of the adductors. And if you don't have a block, you can just use your hands. And then you press into the block. Same thing. We're not using the front of the hips to do this. We're using the inner thighs. Now, this shouldn't be sore on your back. So either come back to the strap if that's a better movement, or come up a little bit in the wall sit. Just make sure whatever symptoms you're experiencing, they're not going up. Right? That's not the point. Okay, good. And then come back up again. Take a breather. Okay, and then come back down into a wall sit again. Feel those 3 points of your feet. Okay, and then come on up. Good. Now, just come into standing and notice what you feel. Feel those 3 points of your feet. Feel the connection up through the legs. Great. Okay, I'm going to grab a chair. So with this chair, I'm going to take my foot that's closest to the wall up onto the chair. Okay? And I'm going to move myself into a twist. So my hands are going to come into the front of my chest. My chin is going to rest on my middle finger. And I'm going to take myself into a twist. And I'm going to rest this hand onto the outer leg, and this hand's going to come onto the wall. Okay, so I've just done this, and I've come onto the wall. Now you can leverage with your arms, but I don't want you just to tug and pull. Just feel the arm being straight on the leg, and then you can gently come around, and maybe this hand here comes a little straighter. Okay, but you feel, like you've got to feel your arms and your torso and you've got to feel this for yourself. We're not trying to like go for some big stretch. There's a real misnomer that because you're stretching, that you're doing something good for yourself. You're not necessarily doing something bad. It's just that the stretch sensation is not an indicator of doing something at all. It's just a stretch sensation. So we can't really use it as a guideline. That's why we have to pay attention to how our body moves. Okay, so I'm going to put my back towards you as I go the other way. So I'm going to take this off. I'm going to notice what I'm feeling, left and right. And then we're going to turn the chair around. And you'll have a back view of me. So now you'll see this leg coming on up. I'm going to twist toward the wall. And then I'm going to bring the arm up. Yeah. So your hand might be here, or it might be here. Okay. All right, good. And then come on back. All right, we're going to move the chair off to the side. Let's face the wall now. And we're going to come into a little bit of a tabletop on the wall. Okay. Now what I just did here, look at my articulating joint was my shoulder and my hip. My ribs and my pelvis stayed connected, but I'm not like gripping my belly to do that. I'm just moving through my hips and my shoulders. So we're not coming into a back bend like this, right? So it's not a back bend. Yeah. Feel the palms against the wall. Feel your feet against the floor. Feel your heart and feel your belly. Okay, lovely. And then come on up. Great. And then, now you're going to stand again. Okay, and just get a feel of yourself standing. Okay, we're going to come back down to the floor. If you've got a strap, bring the strap with you towards the position on the floor. So you can use either a small strap or a long strap. Okay, I'll show you both. So we're going to have our feet on the wall. And my head looks like it's going to be cut off. So your feet are going to be on the wall. And the strap is going to come around your foot. If it's short, just like this. Okay? If it's long, it's going to be, your hands are going to come in like that. Okay? Okay, so either or. Now I realize my head is cut off, but you'll be here, and then you're going to bring that leg down. And here, and then leg comes down. So if you're holding the strap, it'll be like this. Okay, and then foot stays on the wall and leg comes across your body, but the pelvis stays even. Feel those 3 points against the wall. And then come up. Good. And then let that go. And then other side. And lower. And raise. Keep that breathing easy. Good. And then pelvis stays on the ground, leg comes across. Feel that foot against the wall. Good. Okay, now this time, keep the knee up. And the leg comes across. Now this time, the pelvis moves. And you see how my foot moves on the wall too? But my foot is still connected to the wall. Okay. Good. And then come on back. Nice. And then let your feet come down. And then just settling into your breathing. And you can let your legs rest out into a shavasana. You can stay here and just easily breathe with your legs bent. I'm going to move myself up into a sitting position. You choose which makes the most sense. And just make sure that you've got the props, whether it's a pillow or a blanket or blocks, so that you can be really, really comfortable, yeah? And while you're here, just think to yourself, can you be 15 or 20% more comfortable? And then whatever position that you're in, just, connecting with your inhale and exhale again. And how that's moving through your body. So noticing how your breath is with you and how you are with your breath, how your body's with your breath. Notice where your breath is filling you out, where you can feel it moving in your body, and where you're not feeling it so much. And it's totally cool. It's not about changing so that you feel your breath everywhere. It's noticing where you do and don't feel it. That's the magic. Try to just be aware and feel whatever it is that you're feeling without changing it. And that goes for the emotional stuff too. The fear, the uncertainty, the confusion, the helplessness maybe. See if you can feel that in your body. The clearer that we can be with what we feel, the clearer we can be with how we move forward. Coming back to your breathing. All right, coming back to your breath again. Coming back to your breath. Alrighty. Hands are coming together. Now remember how the palm, this little center point in the palm, it's like a connection to your heart. Right? So it helps create that cyclical peace heart down to the palm, back to the heart. Giving yourself some love. And breathe in with ease. And out with gratitude. Namaste. Have a really, 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 really lovely day, or rest of your day, wherever you are at in your day. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Mwah. Take good care.